Today we're talking about polynomials and the fundamental theorem of algebra. The fundamental theorem states that every polynomial equation with degree greater than 0 has at least one root in the set of complex numbers. What that means is when you solve a polynomial equation of degree greater than 0, it will have at least one root. And as we look at roots and talk about roots, what is a root? A root is where the equation, when graphed, crosses the x-axis. So let's talk about a polynomial. The first thing we want to look at is when you have a polynomial, how do you find the degree of the polynomial and how do you find the leading coefficient? To find the degree of a polynomial, you'll take the polynomial and look for the highest numbered exponent that you have for the polynomial. In this case, if we're looking at this polynomial on the screen, the highest numbered exponent that we have is 3, and I'll circle it here. Notice the one with the x, it has it's not written, but it's implied, it has an x to the 1. So the degree for this polynomial will be 3. The leading coefficient will be the coefficient of the variable with the highest exponent. So in this case, the leading coefficient is that number associated with the variable that has the highest degree. In this case, the leading coefficient would be -4. So your answer would be 3, -4. Now, as we look at polynomials, we also want to determine if a particular number is a 0. So let's look at a function. In this case, we're looking at an equation, so we're talking about roots. When we talk about a function, we're talking about zeros. Same concept, but one is an equation, one is a function. So now that we have a function, we're trying to, first of all, what is the degree of this function? The degree for this case is 3. What is the leading coefficient? I'll abbreviate with LC. Leading coefficient is 1. Now, we have to determine, is the number 4 a 0 for this function? So in other words, at x equals 4, does this function cross the x-axis? The way to determine that is to take the 4 and substitute for the x. So we're evaluating this function at f of 4. So everything in the function has an x is going to get the 4 value. So 4 cubed minus 6 times 4 squared plus 10 times 4 minus 8. 4 cubed is 64. 4 squared is 16, and 16 times -6 will be -96. 10 times 4 is 40, and then of course we have our -8. Continuing to simplify, we have 64 and 40, that would be 104. -96 and -8, that would be -104. So f of 4 equals 0. So when you simplify and you get a 0, so that means yes, 4 is a 0 of the function because we simplified by plugging in 4, we get a 0. So the last answer would be yes. So the degree would be 3, leading coefficient would be 1, and then yes, 4 is a 0 of the function.